A weathered Purple Heart medal from the Korean War gleams in the morning sunlight. The camera slowly pulls back to reveal a man in his mid-40s standing by a window, his silhouette strong yet slightly hunched. His calloused hands carefully place the medal back in a small wooden box. When Roger Davis returned from the Korean battlefields in 1953, he was just 26 years old, but already carried wounds that would never fully heal. 20 years later, life has taken him through triumphs and failures that have tested his resilience. Now considered a failure by his ex-wife's family, he receives notice that he's inherited a dilapidated house from his reclusive uncle, a property everyone else deems worthless. Roger stands before the rundown house, weeds climbing its walls, windows cracked, and shutters hanging loose. I guess this is my last chance to prove I can be a good father. A well-dressed woman, flanked by men in expensive suits, laughs mockingly at Roger. You're planning to bring our daughter to live in that pile of rubble. How pathetic. Roger and a small girl stand in front of the house, her tiny hand clutching his tightly. But that house conceals a secret, a legacy that could change everything. Roger and the girl pull back a dusty old rug, revealing a trapdoor in the wooden floor. Daddy, look at this. Roger's face reflects golden light as his eyes widen in astonishment. What did this veteran and his young daughter discover beneath those weathered floorboards that would make those who once mocked him bow their heads in shame? An older man places his hand on Roger's shoulder. People like us understand the real value of things, Roger. That's not something they can buy with money. Flash images, a courtroom, the angry ex-wife, a safe filled with gold bars, Roger embracing his daughter. The soldier's hidden legacy. Sometimes the real treasure isn't what we're looking for. A busy downtown street in late afternoon. People hurry along the sidewalks, briefcases in hand, heading home after work. Among them walks Roger Davis, 45, wearing a simple button-down shirt and worn jeans. Unlike the others, he's in no rush. His stride is steady, but carries the slight hint of an old injury. Roger approaches a modest apartment building, collects his mail from the lobby, and climbs the stairs to the third floor. His apartment is small but neat. A simple sofa, a small television, and a wall with a few framed photographs of a young girl at different ages. In one corner stands a bookshelf with military history books and a small display case with his service medals. He sorts through the mail, bills, advertisements, and then an official-looking envelope that makes him pause. The return address reads Harrington and Sons Attorneys at Law. Roger opens it carefully and reads, his expression shifting from curiosity to surprise. According to this letter, I've inherited a house, Uncle William's place. Roger pulls an old photo album from the bookshelf. He flips through it until he finds a faded photograph of a stern-looking older man standing in front of a large Victorian house. The inscription reads, William Davis, 1972. Hadn't seen him in years. Didn't even know he still had that old place. The phone rings. Roger answers. Hello, Dad. Are we still on for this weekend? Hey, Lucy, of course we are. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Mom says I should call to make sure. She says sometimes you forget things. Roger's jaw tightens slightly, but his voice remains gentle. I've never forgotten one of our weekends, have I? No. I guess not. I'll pick you up Friday at 6, just like always. And guess what? I just got some interesting news. I'll tell you all about it when I see you. Roger hangs up and looks again at the letter, then back at the photograph of Uncle William. He sighs deeply, the weight of memory evident in his eyes. The next morning, Roger enters the offices of Harrington and Sons. The reception area is elegant, polished wood leather chairs and discreet lighting. Roger, in his best but clearly outdated suit, seems out of place. The receptionist eyes him with barely concealed judgment. I'm here to see Mr. Harrington. I have an appointment. Roger Davis. Mr. Harrington will see you now, Mr. Davis. Roger is shown into a spacious office where an elderly lawyer sits behind an imposing desk. Mr. Harrington rises to shake Roger's hand. Mr. Davis, thank you for coming. Please have a seat. I understand you received our letter about your late uncle's estate. Yes, though I have to admit it was a surprise. Uncle William and I weren't exactly close in recent years. Harrington nods, placing a pair of reading glasses on his nose. Your uncle was a very private man. According to his will, you are the sole inheritor of his estate, which primarily consists of his house and the surrounding property. Approximately 5 acres in total. The lawyer slides a folder across the desk. These are the property deeds keys and some additional documents. The property is free of any liens or mortgages. Your uncle was very specific that it should go to you and no one else. Roger opens the folder, examining the documents with a puzzled expression. I don't understand. Why me? I haven't seen him in nearly 20 years. Mr. Harrington removes his glasses, his expression softening slightly. Your uncle left a letter for you as well. Perhaps that might provide some answers. He hands Roger a sealed envelope with Roger written on it in shaky handwriting. Roger takes it, but doesn't open it immediately. Is there anything else I should know? Just that the property has been vacant for some time. Your uncle moved to a care facility about 2 years ago before his passing last month. The house will likely need considerable work. Roger nods, gathering the documents. Thank you for your time, Mr. Harrington. As Roger leaves the lawyer's office, he pauses in the parking lot to open the envelope. Inside is a single sheet of paper with just a few lines of text. Roger, some legacies aren't measured in dollars and cents. This house has been in our family for generations. It may not look like much now, but it holds more value than most will ever understand. It's yours now. Do with it what you will. William. Roger folds the letter carefully and tucks it into his breast pocket, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. Later that day, Roger stands before a large Victorian house set back from the road on a wooded lot. The once grand structure is now in a state of advanced disrepair. Paint peels from the exterior walls, though several windows are cracked or boarded up, and the front porch sags precariously. The surrounding garden has long since surrendered to weeds and brambles. Roger walks slowly up the overgrown path to the front door. He tries the key, which turns with difficulty in the rusted lock. The door opens with a protesting creak, revealing a dusty, furniture-draped interior. Sheets cover what appears to be antique furniture. The air is stale and heavy with neglect. Roger moves from room to room, pulling sheets off furniture, opening curtains to let in light. The house is fully furnished but has clearly been untouched for years. In what was once an elegant study, he finds a desk with stacks of old papers and ledgers. A thin layer of dust covers everything. He picks up a framed photograph, a much younger William Davis in a military uniform standing next to another soldier. Roger studies it for a moment, then sets it carefully back on the desk. What happened to you, Uncle William? Why did you cut everyone off? Roger continues his exploration, finding a kitchen with vintage appliances, a formal dining room, and several bedrooms upstairs. Everything speaks of a past grandeur, now faded and forgotten. In one of the bedrooms, he finds military memorabilia, medals, photographs, and newspaper clippings about the Korean War. He opens a window, letting fresh air into the musty room. Outside, the view extends across rolling hills to a small town in the distance. Despite its condition, the property's location is beautiful and private. Roger's cell phone rings. The caller ID shows Patricia. He hesitates before answering. Hello, Patricia. Roger, I just heard from Lucy that you're taking her this weekend. It's my weekend, same as always. Yes, well, she mentioned something about an inheritance. My father saw you at Harrington's office today. News travels fast. Is it true? What did that old hermit leave you? Roger's voice tightens. Uncle William left me his house. Not that it's any of your concern. That decrepit old mansion on Cedar Hill. What on earth would you do with that? It's practically falling down. I haven't decided yet. You're not thinking of taking Lucy there, are you? That place is probably a health hazard. There could be mold, structural issues. I know how to take care of my daughter, Patricia. A cold laugh comes through the phone, like you took care of our marriage or your career, or the countless opportunities my father gave you that you managed to squander. Roger's jaw clenches, but his voice remains controlled. I'll pick Lucy up at 6 on Friday. As always, he ends the call and stands in silence for a moment, looking around at the dilapidated room. Then, with renewed determination, he begins to clean, starting with the bedroom where he plans to put Lucy. Friday evening, Roger pulls up in front of an imposing suburban home in a well-manicured neighborhood. His aging pickup truck looks out of place among the luxury vehicles. He checks his appearance in the rearview mirror before getting out and walking to the front door. Before he can knock, the door opens to reveal Patricia Evans, elegantly dressed and perfectly groomed. Her critical gaze takes in Roger's appearance. You're 3 minutes late. Traffic was heavy coming from downtown. She steps aside, allowing him to enter a spacious foyer with marble floors and designer furniture. "Lucy, your father is here?" From upstairs comes the sound of running feet. Lucy Davis, 10, appears at the top of the staircase, a backpack slung over her shoulder. Her face lights up when she sees Roger. "Dad." She hurries down the stairs and throws her arms around him. Roger embraces her, his weathered face softening. "Hey, kiddo. Ready for our weekend?" Patricia crosses her arms, watching the reunion with barely concealed disapproval. "I've packed her allergy medication. Make sure she takes it in the morning and evening. And no sugar after 7. From the living room appears James Evans, Patricia's father, a distinguished-looking man in his 70s. He regards Roger with cold politeness. "Davis, heard you came into some property?" "Mr. Evans, news does travel fast in this town." Evans gives a thin smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "Small legacy from that recluse uncle of yours, I understand." "Shame about that old place. Used to be quite the showpiece in its day. It still has potential." Evans exchanges a glance with Patricia, a hint of amusement passing between them. "Well, best of luck with it. Some things are beyond salvation no matter how much effort one puts in." The comment hangs in the air, its double meaning unmistakable. Roger turns to Lucy, deliberately ignoring the barb. "Got everything Lucy Book's pajamas, that science project you wanted to show me?" Lucy nods enthusiastically. All packed, Patricia hands Roger a small bag. Her vitamins and a schedule for her piano practice. She has a recital in 2 weeks. Roger nods, taking the bag. "We'll make sure she practices." As they turn to leave, Patricia adds, "Oh, and Roger, I'd appreciate it if you'd bring her back to a proper home on Sunday. Not that museum of decay you've inherited." Roger pauses at the door, looking back at Patricia and her father. "My home is wherever Lucy and I are together. That's all that matters." He guides Lucy out to his truck, helping her climb in and securing her seatbelt. As they drive away, Lucy waves to her mother, who remains in the doorway. With her father, their expressions a mixture of disdain and concern. In the truck, Lucy chatters excitedly. "Dad, Mom said you got a house? Like a whole house, is it big?" Roger smiles, keeping his eyes on the road. "It's pretty big, yes. It belonged to your great-uncle William. The one from the war pictures, the ones in your album. That's right. He was my father's brother. Served in World War II and Korea." "Is it nice? Can we go see it?" Roger hesitates before answering truthfully. "It needs some work, Lucy. It's been empty for a while, but it has a lot of character and a big yard. Maybe we can fix it up together." "Like a project, that would be awesome." Roger's apartment is small but welcoming. Lucy immediately goes to her room, formerly Roger's office, now converted to a child's bedroom for her weekend visits. The walls are painted a soft yellow, with bookshelves full of children's books and science kits. Roger prepares a simple dinner in the kitchen while Lucy unpacks. They eat together at a small table, Lucy enthusiastically describing her week at school. "And then Ms. Peterson said my science project was the best in class. I get to present it at the district fair next month." "That's fantastic, Lucy. I'm really proud of you." Lucy beams at the praise, then grows slightly more serious. "Dad, can we really go see the house tomorrow?" Roger considers for a moment. "It's not in great shape, Lucy. It's been empty for years. I don't care. I want to see it." "Please," Roger smiles at her persistence. "All right, we'll go in the morning. But remember, it's a fixer-upper, as they say." After dinner, they watch a movie together. Lucy falls asleep against Roger's shoulder before the end. Gently, he carries her to bed, tucking her in and kissing her forehead. Back in the living room, he pulls out the folder of documents about the house and studies them late into the night. The next morning, Roger and Lucy drive through town and up a winding road that leads into the hills. The suburbs give way to more rural settings with houses spaced further apart. Finally, they turn onto a narrow lane almost hidden by overgrown shrubs. Lucy presses her face to the window as they approach the house. "Dad, it's like a castle, or one of those haunted houses from the movies. The Victorian house stands against the morning sky, its turrets and gables creating a dramatic silhouette. In daylight, its state of disrepair is even more evident. Missing roof tiles, peeling, paint-cracked windows. But there's an undeniable grandeur to its architecture." Roger parks in the overgrown driveway. "Remember what I said, Lucy? It needs a lot of work. I love it already." They get out of the truck and approach the house. Lucy runs ahead, exploring the overgrown garden with delight. "Dad, there's a pond. And look at these huge trees. Roger follows more slowly, watching his daughter's excitement with a smile. He unlocks the front door and they step inside. Lucy's eyes widen as she takes in the grand entrance hall with its sweeping staircase. This is amazing. It's like from a storybook. She darts from room to room, exclaiming over each new discovery: the crystal chandelier in the dining room, the built-in bookshelves in the study, the clawfoot bathtub in the upstairs bathroom. Roger follows, pointing out features and explaining the history of the house as best he can remember from his childhood visits. This house was built in 1895 by your great-great-grandfather. He was a successful merchant. Uncle William inherited it from his father, my grandfather. In what was clearly once a library, Lucy spins around, taking in the floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, now mostly empty. Were there lots of books? What happened to them? I'm not sure. Uncle William became very private in his later years. He might have donated them, or they could be in storage somewhere. Lucy runs her hand along the dusty shelves, then notices something odd about the floor. Dad, look, this rug doesn't fit right. It's all bunched up in the corner. Roger examines the area Lucy is pointing to. Indeed, an old Persian rug appears unevenly placed with one corner raised slightly. Good eye, Lucy. Let's see what's underneath. Together, they roll back the heavy rug, revealing wooden floorboards beneath. Lucy points excitedly. Look, this board is a different color than the others. Roger kneels to examine it. One floorboard does indeed appear newer than those surrounding it. He presses on it experimentally, and to his surprise, it moves slightly. Stand back a bit, Lucy. Roger feels around the edges of the board until he finds a small indentation. When he presses it, the board pops up, revealing a small compartment beneath. Inside is a leather-bound journal. What is it? Dad. Roger carefully lifts out the journal. It looks like one of Uncle William's journals. He always kept detailed records of everything. He opens it carefully. The pages are filled with neat, precise handwriting, along with diagrams, maps, and what appear to be codes or ciphers. Lucy peers over his shoulder. It looks like secret codes. Was Uncle William a spy? Roger smiles at her enthusiasm. Not exactly. But he did work in military intelligence during the Korean War. These might be notes from that time. He turns more pages and stops suddenly at a hand-drawn map that appears to be of the house and grounds. 3 locations are marked with red X's, one in the library, where they are now, one in what appears to be the kitchen, and one in the master bedroom. Lucy points at the map excitedly. It's a treasure map. Just like in the movies, Roger studies the map with growing interest. It does look that way, doesn't it? I wonder what Uncle William was trying to show with these marks. Their exploration is interrupted by a knock at the front door. Roger closes the journal and tucks it under his arm. Let's see who that is. They return to the entrance hall. Through the frosted glass of the front door, they can see the silhouette of a man. Roger opens the door to reveal an older gentleman in his mid-60s dressed in work clothes and a flannel shirt. Morning. Hope I'm not intruding. Name's Bob Thompson. I live down the road a piece. Roger Davis. This is my daughter, Lucy. Bob's eyes light up with recognition. Davis. You must be William's nephew. I heard someone had finally come to look at the old place. That's right. Uncle William left it to me. Bob nods, looking past them at the house's interior. William was a good neighbor, kept to himself mostly, but always willing to lend a hand when needed. Been looking after the property best I could since he moved to that care facility, making sure no vandals or squatters moved in. I appreciate that, Mr. Thompson. Bob, just Bob. Been too long since anyone's been up here. Place needs some life in it again. Lucy pipes up. We found a secret compartment in the floor with a journal and a map with X's on it. Bob's eyebrows rise and he exchanges a glance with Roger. Is that so? William always was one for his secrets. Mind if I come in? I might be able to help you make sense of some things around here. Roger hesitates only briefly before stepping aside. Please come in. Bob enters, removing his cap. He looks around the entrance hall with a familiarity that suggests he's been here many times before. Place has good bones, just needs some TLC. As they walk through to the kitchen, Bob points out various features and issues with the house. A loose banister, a spot where the roof likely leaks the outdated but still functional plumbing. In the kitchen, Bob pauses, running his hand along the old cast iron stove. This beauty still works, you know. William and I fired her up just before he left. Burns wood or coal. Roger observes Bob's ease in the house. You knew my uncle well. Bob nods, a look of respect crossing his weathered features. Served with him, actually. Korea 51 to 53. 2nd Infantry Division. Came back here after and found out we were practically neighbors. Kept in touch ever since. Roger's expression changes to one of surprise and newfound interest. You served with him. I was in Korea too. Later, though. Last year of the conflict. 7th Infantry Division. Bob's eyes sharpened, taking in Roger with renewed appraisal. Thought you had the look. Once you've been there, you can spot it in others. Lucy, who has been exploring the kitchen cabinets, calls out, Dad, Mr. Thompson, look what I found. She holds up an old metal box that was hidden behind a false panel in one of the cabinets. The second X on the map, Roger takes the box from Lucy. It's locked with a small padlock. We'll need the key for this one. Bob scratches his chin thoughtfully. William always kept important keys in his desk drawer. Might want to check there. Roger nods and they move to the study. As Bob suggested, in the desk drawer, they find a small key that fits the padlock. Inside the box are several old photographs, military badges, and a folded piece of paper that appears to be a map of the property with several areas marked. Bob examines one of the photographs. A group of soldiers standing before a military tent. He points to two of the figures. That's William right there. And that's me, if you can believe it. Young and foolish, the both of us. Roger studies the photo with interest. I never knew much about his service. He didn't talk about it when I was growing up. Bob's expression becomes more serious. Many of us didn't. Some experiences, well, they're hard to put into words for those who weren't there. Lucy, meanwhile, has unfolded the property map. Look, Dad. There's another X here way at the back of the property. It says Old Well next to it. Bob nods in recognition. That old well's still there, out past the oak grove. William was always protective of that area. Wouldn't let anyone near it, not even me. Roger and Lucy exchange excited glances. Lucy looks up at her father with pleading eyes. Can we go look, Dad? Please, Roger checks his watch. It'll be getting dark soon. How about we come back tomorrow? We can explore the property in daylight. Lucy's face falls in disappointment, but she nods in understanding. I guess that makes sense. Bob adjusts his cap, preparing to leave. I should be heading back myself, but I'd be happy to show you folks around the property tomorrow if you'd like. I know every inch of these grounds. Roger extends his hand. We'd appreciate that, Bob. Thank you. As they walk Bob to the door, he pauses, looking back at the house. William always said this place was special. Said it had secrets worth protecting. Guess he wanted you to find them, Roger. After Bob leaves, Roger and Lucy spend another hour exploring the house. Lucy is particularly fascinated by the attic with its old trunks and vintage clothing. Roger makes mental notes of repairs needed, a significant list that would require substantial time and money. As they prepare to leave, Lucy asks to take the journal with them. I want to study the map some more. Maybe there are clues we missed, Roger agrees, and they lock up the house. As they drive back toward town, Lucy chatters excitedly about their discoveries and plans for further exploration the next day. Roger smiles at her enthusiasm, but can't help noticing a black SUV parked on the main road as they turn off the property's lane. The vehicle pulls out behind them, maintaining a discreet distance. Roger watches it in his rearview mirror with growing suspicion. That evening, back at Roger's apartment, Lucy spreads Uncle William's journal and the other items they found on the living room floor. She meticulously examines each page of the journal, copying down codes and making notes of her own. Roger watches her with amusement and pride. You'd have made a good detective, Lucy. Lucy doesn't look up from her work. Uncle William left these clues for a reason. We need to figure out what he was trying to tell you. Roger sits beside her on the floor, picking up one of the photographs from the metal box. I wish I'd stayed in touch with him. There's so much I would ask him now. Lucy points to a passage in the journal. Look at this, Dad. It says, the greatest treasures are often hidden in plain sight, overlooked by those too blind to see beyond material value. Roger reads the passage, his brow furrowing in thought. Uncle William always did speak in riddles. The doorbell rings, interrupting their investigation. Roger goes to answer it, surprised to find Patricia standing in the hallway, her expression tense. Patricia, is everything all right? I tried calling. You didn't answer. Roger checks his phone, finding 3 missed calls. Sorry, we were caught up in a project. Patricia steps inside without waiting for an invitation. She sees Lucy surrounded by the old journal and photographs. What's all this? Lucy jumps up excitedly. Mom, we went to Dad's new house. It's amazing. Like a castle, and we found secret maps and journals, and Patricia cuts her off with a sharp look. Lucy, go pack your things. I'm taking you home. Lucy's excitement evaporates. But why Dad has me until tomorrow evening? Patricia's voice is firm. Now, Lucy, your grandfather has organized a special dinner with some important colleagues. He specifically wants you there. Roger steps forward, his stance protective. Patricia, this isn't right. You can't just change the arrangement whenever it suits you. Patricia turns on him, her voice low and intense. I saw that house today, Roger. It's practically falling down. It's not a safe environment for a child. Who told you where it was? Everyone knows about the old Davis place. I took a drive up there after I heard you'd actually taken Lucy to see it. Roger's expression hardens. The house needs work, but it's structurally sound. Lucy was perfectly safe. Patricia laughs dismissively. Safe in that decrepit museum, there's probably lead paint, asbestos, not to mention the potential for collapse. My father has already spoken with our attorney about having it inspected. Roger's voice remains calm, but there's steel beneath the surface. Your father has no say in what happens with my property. He does when it affects his granddaughter's safety. Lucy, are you ready? Lucy emerges from her room, backpack in hand, her expression crestfallen. She looks to Roger, a silent plea in her eyes. Roger kneels to her level. It's okay, Lucy. We'll continue our adventure another time. I promise. He hugs her tightly, whispering in her ear. Keep our discoveries between us for now. Okay, it'll be our special project. Lucy nods against his shoulder, then reluctantly joins her mother at the door. Patricia's parting words are measured but pointed. My father's dinner is tomorrow evening. I'll have Lucy call you afterward. After they leave, Roger stands alone in his suddenly quiet apartment. He returns to the living room and carefully gathers the journal and photographs, placing them in a secure drawer. His cell phone rings. The caller ID shows Bob Thompson. Roger answers, his voice reflecting his frustration from the encounter with Patricia. Bob, is everything all right? Just checking in. Wanted to make sure you and your daughter were coming back tomorrow. There's something at the property I think you should see. We had a change of plans. Lucy's mother came and took her home early. There's a pause on the line. I see. Well, the offer stands if you want to come out alone. I think William would have wanted you to see what's there with or without your daughter. What exactly are we talking about here, Bob? Another pause, longer this time. Some things are better shown than told, Roger. Let's just say William believed the property held something of great value, something he wanted preserved. Roger considers this, looking around his small apartment. I'll be there in the morning, around 9. I'll be waiting. As Roger ends the call, he notices a car parked across the street, the same black SUV he'd spotted earlier. A chill runs down his spine as he closes the curtains and turns out the lights. Sunday morning. The mist still clings to the hills as Roger drives up to the old Davis house. Bob's truck is already parked in the driveway. The older man stands on the porch, thermos in hand, waiting. Roger parks and approaches, noting that Bob is dressed for outdoor work. Boots, heavy jeans, and a flannel jacket. Morning, Bob. You're here early. Bob offers a cup of coffee from his thermos. Always been an early riser. Military habit that never broke. Figured we might need an early start. Roger accepts the coffee gratefully. Thanks. So what's this important thing you wanted to show me? Bob gestures toward the back of the property. It's about a quarter mile through the woods. That old well Lucy spotted on the map. They set off along a barely visible path that winds through the oak grove behind the house. Bob moves with the confidence of someone who knows the route well, pointing out landmarks as they go. William maintained these trails himself, right up until he had to leave. Said it helped him think. Roger follows, taking in the peaceful surroundings. I remember coming here as a kid. My father would bring me to visit a few times a year. Uncle William would take me fishing in that small stream over there. Bob nods in recognition. William spoke of those visits, said you had a natural curiosity, always asking questions. They emerge into a small clearing where an old stone well stands, its wooden cover weathered but intact. Nearby is a small shed that appears to have been maintained more recently than the house. Bob approaches the well and removes the cover. William had me help him reinforce this about 5 years ago. Said it was important to keep it secure. Roger peers down into the darkness of the well. Is it still active? Does it have water? Bob shakes his head. Dried up decades ago. But William wasn't interested in it for water. He moves to the shed and unlocks it with a key from his pocket. Inside are various tools, all neatly organized, and a large coil of rope with a harness attached. Roger looks at the equipment with growing curiosity. What exactly did Uncle William use this well for? Bob begins uncoiling the rope. It's not the well itself that matters. It's what's below it. He secures one end of the rope to a sturdy metal ring embedded in the shed wall. Your uncle discovered something down there years ago. Something that changed him. He only showed it to me once, made me swear never to tell anyone unless something happened to him. Roger watches as Bob expertly checks the harness. And now you're showing me. Bob nods, a serious expression on his weathered face. William left instructions. Said if anything happened to him, I should wait until you came to claim the property. Then I should show you what's down there. He hands the harness to Roger. You'll need this. It's about 30 feet down, then there's a horizontal tunnel that runs about 50 feet toward the house. William installed electric lights along the way. The switch is at the bottom of the well. Roger examines the harness dubiously. You're sure this is safe? Bob's expression is reassuring. William and I maintained it regularly. Military-grade equipment. It'll hold. Roger puts on the harness and secures it to the rope. Bob helps him position himself over the well opening. Just lower yourself slowly. There are metal rungs embedded in the wall as you get deeper, but they're old, so don't put your full weight on them. Roger begins his descent into the darkness, the rope playing out smoothly through Bob's steady hands. The well shaft is cool and damp, the stone walls slick with moisture. As promised, he finds metal rungs embedded in the wall, though some are loose or missing entirely. When he reaches the bottom, Roger finds solid ground and a small alcove cut into the stone. On the wall is a switch box. He flips it, and a series of old electric bulbs illuminates a narrow tunnel stretching away from the well. I'm at the bottom, found the lights, but Gift's voice echoes down from above. Good to follow the tunnel, I'll wait here. Roger moves cautiously along the tunnel, which is tall enough for him to stand upright, but narrow enough that his shoulders nearly brush the walls. The electric lights are spaced every 10 feet, casting pools of yellow light that barely hold back the darkness. The tunnel is clearly man-made with wooden support beams at regular intervals. In places, the walls are lined with stone or concrete. After about 50 feet, the tunnel widens into a small chamber. Here, the lighting is brighter, revealing a space about 15 feet square. The chamber is furnished like a small office or study. There's a desk, filing cabinets, and bookshelves built into the rock walls. Everything is surprisingly well preserved, protected from the elements, and apparently untouched for years. Roger examines the desk first. On it lies a leather portfolio embossed with William's initials. Inside are documents, most bearing official military or government seals. Roger studies them with growing amazement. They appear to be commendations, security clearances, and records of classified operations from the Korean War and the early Cold War period. In one of the desk drawers, he finds a small notebook filled with codes similar to those in the journal they found in the house. Another drawer contains maps of the property with detailed notations about underground water sources, geological formations, and what appears to be a larger tunnel system. Roger turns to the filing cabinets next. They're locked, but a key ring hanging on a hook nearby provides access. Inside are hundreds of files meticulously organized and labeled. Many contain what appear to be intelligence reports, surveillance notes, and correspondence with military officials. One cabinet drawer is marked simply Project Aurora. Inside is a single thick folder containing photographs, technical diagrams, and handwritten notes. The photos show what appears to be experimental military equipment, scientists in laboratories and test sites in remote locations. Roger sits at the desk, overwhelmed by the scope of what he's discovered. He begins to piece together a picture of his uncle that he never knew. William Davis wasn't just a military intelligence officer, but apparently involved in highly classified operations and research. As he continues exploring, Roger notices a safe built into the wall behind the desk. It's a heavy professional-grade model with both a key lock and a combination dial. On the desk, partially hidden under some papers, he finds a small envelope with Roger written on it. the same handwriting as the letter the lawyer gave him. Inside the envelope is a single sheet of paper with a series of numbers, clearly the combination to the safe, and another brief note. If you found this place, you're ready to know the truth. What lies within this safe is both a burden and a gift. Use it wisely. The key is in the house. Third X on the map. Roger remembers the third X on the map was in the master bedroom. He makes a mental note to search there next. For now, without the key, the safe remains unopened. After nearly an hour of exploration, Roger returns to the well shaft and calls up to Bob. "I'm coming back up with Bob's help." Roger ascends from the well, his mind racing with questions. Once back on solid ground, he removes the harness and faces Bob. "Why didn't you tell me about this yesterday?" Bob secures the well cover before answering. "Wanted to make sure you were serious about the place, that you weren't just going to sell it off without understanding what you have here." Roger gestures toward the well. "And what exactly do I have here? Was my uncle some kind of spy?" Bob's expression is measured. "Not exactly. William worked in military intelligence, yes. But what he did after the war, that was something else entirely. He discovered things during his service that troubled him deeply. Things he felt needed to be documented and preserved." They begin walking back toward the house. "What kind of things?" Bob shakes his head. "That's for you to find out from William's records. It wasn't my place to go through his private files. I just helped him maintain the physical space." As they approach the house, Roger notices a car parked on the road at the bottom of the driveway. The same black SUV he'd seen before. Bob follows his gaze. "You've got visitors. Been there about 20 minutes. Roger's expression hardens. "Let's find out who's so interested in this property." They walk down the driveway. As they approach, the SUV's door opens and James Evans steps out dressed impeccably in weekend casual wear. Behind him emerges a younger man in a suit carrying a briefcase. "Mr. Evans, this is a surprise." Evans's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Roger, I was in the area and thought I'd take a look at this property I've been hearing so much about. This is Stanley Morris, my attorney." The lawyer nods curtly but doesn't offer his hand. Roger's stance becomes defensive. "What exactly are you doing here, Mr. Evans?" Evans gestures expansively at the house and grounds. "Just curious. This place has quite a history. Used to be one of the showpieces of the county before it fell into disrepair." His gaze shifts to Bob, taking in the older man's weathered appearance with barely disguised disdain. "And who might this be, Bob Thompson?" "Neighbor." Roger adds, his voice deliberate. "And a friend of my uncle's. Served with him in Korea." Evans's eyebrows rise slightly. "I see. Well, Mr. Thompson, I wonder if you might give Mr. Morris and me a moment alone with Roger." Bob doesn't move, his expression impassive. "I believe this is Roger's property. Up to him who stays or goes." Roger nods in appreciation. "Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of Bob." Evans's pleasant facade slips slightly, revealing irritation beneath. "Very well. I'll be direct. Patricia has serious concerns about Lucy visiting this property. The structural integrity potential, health hazards, safety issues." The lawyer opens his briefcase and extracts a document. Morris speaks for the first time, his voice coolly professional. "We've taken the liberty of arranging for a county inspector to evaluate the property. Given that a minor child might be present, it's a matter of due diligence." Roger takes the document but doesn't look at it. "This isn't about Lucy's safety. This is about control." Evans's expression hardens. "This is about a child's welfare. A child who happens to be my granddaughter. Now, we can make this simple or complicated. Simple means you agree to the inspection and any necessary repairs before Lucy visits again. Complicated means we seek a temporary modification of the custody arrangement until the property is certified safe." Roger's jaw tightens, but he keeps his voice controlled. "And who pays for these inspections and repairs?" Evans smiles thinly. "I'd be willing to discuss financial arrangements. Perhaps even purchase the property at a fair market value. Save you the trouble of restoration." Roger hands the document back to Morris. "I'm not interested in selling, and I'll have my own inspector evaluate the property." Evans's smile disappears entirely. "Don't be foolish, Roger. You can't possibly afford to restore this place properly. It would take hundreds of thousands of dollars." Roger stands his ground. "That's my concern, not yours." Evans studies Roger for a moment, then turns to his lawyer. "I believe we're done here for now. Roger has made his position clear. As they turn to leave, Evans adds casually, "Oh, and Roger, Patricia mentioned finding some old journals and maps yesterday. Family heirlooms can be so fascinating. I'd be interested in seeing them sometime." After Evans and Morris drive away, Bob turns to Roger. "That man's trouble." William never did trust the Evans family. Roger watches the departing SUV with narrowed eyes. How would they know about the journals and maps Lucy wouldn't have told them? Bob's expression is grim. Someone's been watching. Maybe listening too. They return to the house, both men now on high alert. Inside, Roger heads directly to the master bedroom to look for the third X on the map. The bedroom is large with tall windows overlooking the property. A four-poster bed dominates the center of the room, its once luxurious bedding now faded and dusty. An antique dresser and wardrobe stand against one wall, and a writing desk occupies a corner by the window. Roger consults the map, which indicates the X should be somewhere near the fireplace. He examines the ornate mantelpiece, carefully running his hands along the carved wood, looking for any sign of a hidden compartment. Bob watches from the doorway. William was clever about his hiding spots. Never obvious. Roger steps back, studying the fireplace as a whole. Then his eyes are drawn to the portrait hanging above it, a formal photograph of William in his military uniform. Roger lifts the frame carefully from the wall. Behind it is a small wall safe concealed by the picture. Bingo. The safe requires a key. Roger remembers the note in the underground chamber mentioned the key would be in the master bedroom. The third X on the map. He continues searching methodically, checking drawers, looking under furniture, and examining the floorboards for signs of concealment. Finally, in the back of a drawer in the bedside table, he finds a false bottom. Beneath it lies a small brass key. Roger holds it up triumphantly. Found it. He returns to the safe and tries the key. It fits perfectly. Inside the safe is a small metal box and another envelope with Roger's name. Roger opens the envelope first, finding another brief note from his uncle. "The key you now hold opens more than just this box. It opens the truth about our family and about what I've protected all these years. In the underground office, this key will unlock the final piece." Roger opens the metal box next. Inside, wrapped in velvet cloth, is a heavy gold pocket watch with the Davis family crest engraved on the cover. Also in the box are several old photographs. William with Roger's father as young men, both in uniform. William holding an infant that must be Roger, and several of William with a group of military officers and scientists, all standing before equipment Roger doesn't recognize. Bob examines the watch with interest. "Family heirloom. Your grandfather gave that to William when he joined the Army in '42. Never saw him without it." Roger puts everything back in the box, his expression thoughtful. "We need to get back to that underground office. I need to open that safe." Bob nods in agreement. "Not today, though. Evans might still be watching the property." "Better to wait," Roger reluctantly agrees. They secure the house and property before departing. As they stand by their vehicles, Bob gives Roger a serious look. "William chose you for a reason, Roger. Whatever's in that safe, he trusted you with it. Not your father, not anyone else. You." Roger absorbs this, the weight of the responsibility settling on him. "I'll come back tomorrow after work." Around 6, Bob nods. "I'll be here." "And Roger? Be careful, watch your back." Evans isn't the type to give up easily. As Roger drives away, his mind is filled with questions about his uncle, the mysterious underground office, and whatever secrets might be waiting in the safe. He's so distracted that he almost doesn't notice the black SUV pulling onto the road behind him, maintaining a discreet distance all the way back to town. Monday afternoon. The county courthouse stands imposing against the darkening sky. The granite facade, weathered by decades of rain and snow, speaks of permanence and authority. Inside, the fluorescent lights cast a harsh glow over the polished floors of the records department. Roger Davis signs the visitor log, his pen strokes deliberate and measured. The clerk behind the counter eyes him with the bored indifference of a government employee counting the minutes until closing time. "I need to check property records for 1427 Cedar Hill Road. The files you're looking for would be in Section C, Row 17. Land titles from before 1960 are in the archival section downstairs." Roger navigates the maze of filing cabinets, his footsteps echoing in the near-empty room. He pulls several thick folders, carrying them to a vacant reading table. The documents inside trace the history of the Cedar Hill property. deeds of ownership, tax assessments, and boundary surveys dating back to the late 1800s. One document catches his eye, a permit application from 1952 for structural modifications to include reinforced basement and extended storage facilities. The applicant, William Davis. The description is vague, but the timing aligns with his return from Korea. Roger continues searching, looking for anything unusual. In a separate folder labeled Cedar Hill Miscellaneous, he finds correspondence between William and the county regarding water rights in underground springs. One letter mentions a geological survey conducted by the Army Corps of Engineers in 1955. The survey itself is not included. The clerk approaches, keys jangling. "We're closing in 15 minutes, sir." Roger gathers the most relevant documents and approaches the counter. "I'd like copies of these, please." The clerk eyes the stack with mild annoyance, but begins feeding the papers through the copier. As Roger waits, the main door opens and a familiar figure enters. Stanley Morris, James Evans' attorney. He stops short when he sees Roger's surprise flashing briefly across his face before his professional mask returns. "Mr. Davis, doing some research. Just learning about my property's history." Morris approaches the counter, standing uncomfortably close. Fascinating old place, the Davis house. Lots of stories attached to it. The clerk returns with Roger's copies. "That'll be $27.50. Roger pays and tucks the documents into his briefcase. Morris lowers his voice, his tone casual but his eyes sharp. Mr. Evans is still interested in discussing the property. His offer would be more than generous. "I'm not selling." Roger turns to leave, but Morris places a hand on his arm. "Things can get complicated with old properties like that. Zoning issues, tax reassessments, code violations. It would be a shame to see you overwhelmed by bureaucratic obstacles." Roger stares at the hand until Morris removes it. "Was that a threat, Mr. Morris? Merely an observation?" "Good evening, Mr. Davis." Roger exits the courthouse, the weight of the confrontation settling on his shoulders. In the parking lot, he scans his surroundings carefully before approaching his truck. No sign of the black SUV, but the sense of being watched persists. Tuesday evening. Roger pulls into the driveway of the Cedar Hill house, gravel crunching beneath his tires. Bob's truck is already there, the older man waiting on the porch. The fading sunlight casts long shadows across the overgrown lawn. "Any trouble getting here? Took a few detours, made sure I wasn't followed." "Good thinking. Come on in. I've got something to show you." Inside, Bob leads Roger to the kitchen. On the table lies an old newspaper yellowed with age. "Found this in my attic. Thought you might find it interesting." Roger examines the paper, the Lakeside Chronicle from June 1953. A small article is circled in faded red ink. "Local veteran purchases historic Cedar Hill property." The piece mentions William Davis returning from overseas service to settle in his family's ancestral home. What caught my attention was this. Bob points to a paragraph near the end. "Mr. Davis will be joined by colleagues from his military service to assist with renovations to the historic property. County records indicate permits have been issued for substantial structural modifications." Colleagues from his military service. That's right. William didn't renovate this place alone. He had help from a specific group of men, all from our unit in Korea. Men with particular skills. Roger sits at the table processing this information. The underground chamber. They built it together. Bob nods, his weathered face solemn. 7 of them, all handpicked by William. Engineers, communication specialists, men who knew how to keep secrets. They worked for 3 months, mostly at night. The locals thought they were just fixing up the old place. Why all the secrecy? Bob hesitates, choosing his words carefully. Korea changed William. He saw things over there that troubled him deeply, things our own side was doing. When he came back, he wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a man on a mission. What kind of mission? Let's find out. You've got the key to that safe now. They gather their equipment and head out to the well. The evening air is cool, birds settling in for the night as the forest prepares for darkness. This time, Roger descends into the well shaft with greater confidence, the harness secure around his body. Bob remains above, keeping watch. The underground office is exactly as Roger left it, preserved in its silent time capsule. He moves directly to the wall safe, using the combination from his previous visit and the key found in the master bedroom. The mechanism clicks and the heavy door swings open. Inside is another metal box larger than the one from the house. Roger places it carefully on the desk and opens it. The contents are meticulously organized. Military documents, photographs, microfilm reels, and a small leather-bound journal with William's initials embossed on the cover. Roger begins with the journal, turning the pages carefully. The entries start in January 1951 during the Korean conflict. William's handwriting is neat and precise, detailing troop movements, intelligence operations, and meetings with high-ranking officers. But as the months progress, the tone changes. Entries become more cryptic, filled with codes and references to Project Aurora and the Quicksilver Protocol. One entry from September 1951 stands out. Witness test of Q protocol today at Site 7. Results beyond expectations, but ethical implications deeply troubling. Subjects showed remarkable compliance but severe cognitive deterioration afterward. General M extremely pleased. God help us if this is deployed widely. Roger turns to the official documents next. Most bear military classification stamps. Top secret and eyes only, with many sections redacted in heavy black ink. Despite the redactions, enough remains legible to piece together a disturbing picture. Project Aurora appears to have been an experimental program involving advanced interrogation methods, mind control techniques, and psychological conditioning. One document outlines the Quicksilver Protocol, a combination of chemical compounds, psychological techniques, and electromagnetic stimulation designed to enhance subject compliance and information extraction while minimizing resistance and memory retention. Photographs show laboratory settings with military personnel and civilians in white coats. Some images depict subjects strapped to chairs or beds connected to unfamiliar equipment. Their faces are blurred or obscured, but their postures suggest distress. Roger sits back, the weight of what he's discovering settling over him. His uncle, the man he had known as a distant but respected figure, had been involved in what appeared to be deeply classified and ethically questionable military experiments. He continues examining the contents of the safe, finding a sealed envelope marked "Insurance" in William's handwriting. Inside are photographs and documents that appear to be evidence, names, dates, locations, and signed orders authorizing the Aurora program. Among the signatures on the authorization forms is a name that makes Roger freeze: Colonel James Evans, Military Intelligence Division. Patricia's father, the man who had been pressuring him about the property. The connection suddenly becomes clear. Evans isn't just interested in the house for Lucy's sake. He's afraid of what might be hidden there. Roger carefully returns everything to the metal box, his mind racing. He needs to get this information to safety, but who can he trust? As he prepares to ascend from the underground chamber, he hears an urgent call from above. Roger, you need to come up now. He secures the metal box in his backpack and quickly makes his way up the well shaft. Bob helps pull him the last few feet, his expression grave. We've got company. Black SUV just pulled up to the house. They secure the well cover and move quietly through the forest, approaching the house from the rear. Through the kitchen window, they can see two men in dark suits examining the interior. One is Stanley Morris. The other, a taller man with military bearing, is unfamiliar. They're searching the place, looking for what we just found most likely. Bob leads Roger to a small shed partially hidden by overgrowth. We can wait here until they leave. From their vantage point, they watch as the men methodically move through the house, examining drawers, lifting rugs, and checking behind picture frames. After about 20 minutes, they exit the front door, clearly frustrated. Morris holds a cell phone to his ear, his posture tense as he speaks. The other man scans the property, his gaze passing over the shed without pausing. They finally return to the SUV and drive away. They'll be back, with reinforcements next time. We need to secure whatever evidence is in that box. Make copies, get it somewhere safe. Roger nods, patting his backpack. I know someone who might help, a lawyer I served with in Korea. He's in the city, now works for the Justice Department. The drive back to town is tense, both men watchful for signs of pursuit. Roger drops Bob at his property and continues to his apartment. Inside, he places the metal box in a duffel bag with some clothes and essential documents. He's about to leave when his phone rings. The caller ID shows Patricia. Roger, I've been trying to reach you all day. I've been busy. What is it? Her voice has an unfamiliar edge. part anger, part something else. Fear. My father wants to talk to you about the property. I bet he does. This isn't a game, Roger. He knows about the underground facility. He knows what William was hiding. Roger freezes his grip, tightening on the phone. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. My father knows everything about Project Aurora. He was there. Exactly why I don't want to talk to him. You don't understand. Those records William kept, they're dangerous for everyone involved, including your father. Her voice drops to a harsh whisper. You have no idea what you're meddling with. This goes beyond us, beyond Lucy. This is national security. Funny how national security always seems to protect certain people while burying their crimes. Roger, listen to me. If those records become public, people will get hurt. Real people. Not just my father. I need to think about this. I'll call you tomorrow. He ends the call and immediately dials another number. Mark, it's Roger Davis. I need your help with something sensitive. Can you meet me tonight, 2 hours later, in a dimly lit bar on the outskirts of town? Roger sits in a corner booth. The establishment is nearly empty. A couple of regulars at the bar, a waitress lazily wiping down tables. The door opens and a man in his late 40s enters. Mark Anderson has the trim build and alert eyes of someone who never really left military service behind despite his civilian clothes. He slides into the booth opposite Roger, ordering a scotch from the passing waitress. You look like hell, Davis. Roger manages a thin smile. Good to see you too, Anderson. The waitress delivers Mark's drink and retreats. Mark takes a sip, studying Roger over the rim of his glass. So what's this urgent matter that couldn't wait until business hours? Roger glances around to ensure no one is within earshot. I need legal advice and I need someone I can trust. He explains the situation, the inheritance, the underground facility, the documents about Project Aurora, and the pressure from Evans. Mark listens without interruption, his expression growing increasingly serious. When Roger mentions Evans' name and position, he sets his drink down abruptly. James Evans? Colonel Evans from military intelligence. You know him? Mark's voice drops to a near whisper. I know of him. He was legendary in certain circles. Cold War hardliner involved in some of the most classified operations of the era. Retired in the late 80s, but supposedly maintains connections at the highest levels. Roger leans forward. And Project Aurora. Ever hear of that? Mark's face becomes a careful blank. Where exactly did you say you found these documents? Roger recognizes the deflection. You have heard of it. Mark drains his scotch and signals for another. There were rumors, nothing concrete. Experimental programs during the Korean conflict and early Cold War years. Psychological warfare, advanced interrogation methods, counterintelligence. Most of it supposedly shut down after congressional inquiries in the 70s. But not all of it. The waitress delivers Mark's second scotch. He waits until she's gone before continuing. Roger, you need to understand something. The early Cold War period was different. The rules were still being written. Things happened that wouldn't pass muster today. I'm getting that impression. Mark leans forward, his voice urgent but controlled. If what you've found is genuine documentation of these programs with names, dates, authorizations, it's political dynamite, not just for Evans, but for agencies, departments, current officials who might have connections to those programs. Roger absorbs this, the implications expanding in his mind. That's why they want the property so badly. They need to contain this. Exactly, and they won't stop at legal maneuvers. Roger opens his backpack just enough to show Mark the edge of the metal box. I need to get this somewhere safe, somewhere they can't touch it. Mark thinks for a moment, then writes an address on a napkin. Take it here. It's a law firm I trust. Ask for Jennifer Carson. Tell her I sent you and that it's a Matter 7 situation. She'll know what to do. Roger pockets the napkin. And what about Evans? How do I handle him? Mark's expression is grim. Carefully. Very carefully. Men like Evans don't leave loose ends. As they part outside the bar, Mark grips Roger's shoulder. Watch your back and call me tomorrow. Let me know you made it to Carson's office in one piece. Roger nods, the weight of the situation settling on him as he drives back to his apartment. He takes a circuitous route, checking frequently for signs of pursuit. The streets are quiet, but the sense of being watched persists. At his apartment, he packs a few more essentials, planning to spend the night elsewhere. As he's about to leave, his phone rings again. The display shows Lucy. He answers immediately. Dad. His daughter's voice is small and frightened, sending a chill through Heenan. Lucy, what's wrong? Mom and Grandpa are fighting. About you and the old house. Mom's really upset. Where are you in my room? They don't know I'm calling you. Roger sits on the edge of his bed, forcing calm into his voice. It's okay, Lucy. Grown-ups argue sometimes. Grandpa said they need to deal with the Davis problem once and for all. He sounded really angry. Roger's blood runs cold. Lucy, listen to me. This is important. Is anyone else at the house with you? Just Mrs. Kennedy, the housekeeper. Mom and Grandpa are in his study. I want you to do something for me. I want you to go to Mrs. Kennedy and ask her to call me. Tell her it's an emergency. Are you coming to get me? Not right now, sweetheart, but I need to talk to Mrs. Kennedy. A few minutes later, the phone rings again. The housekeeper's voice is concerned but composed. Mr. Davis, Lucy said you needed to speak with me urgently. Mrs. Kennedy, I need a favor. A big one. I need you to keep Lucy safe tonight. Don't let her out of your sight. And if anyone tries to take her anywhere, I need you to call this number immediately. He gives her Mark Anderson's number. Mr. Davis, you're frightening me. Should I call the police? Not yet. Just watch over Lucy. I'll explain everything tomorrow. After ending the call, Roger sits in the darkness of his apartment, weighing his options. The metal box with its damning evidence sits in his backpack, a ticking time bomb that could destroy careers, reputations, and possibly more. He needs to get it to safety, but he also needs to protect Lucy. His decision made. Roger calls Bob. Bob, I need your help again. Can you meet me at the house in an hour? Sure thing. Everything all right? No. But it's about to get interesting. Roger takes back roads to Cedar Hill, constantly checking his mirrors for signs of pursuit. The night is clear, a half-moon casting silver light over the landscape. When he arrives, Bob is already waiting, a shotgun resting casually across his lap as he sits on the porch steps. Brought some insurance, just in case. Inside, Roger lays out what he's learned from Mark and the disturbing call from Lucy. So Evans was directly involved in Project Aurora, and now he knows we've found the evidence. Bob's weathered face is grim in the lamplight. William always said that stuff would come back to haunt us all someday. Guess that day is here. Roger places the metal box on the kitchen table. I need to get these documents to a safe place. But first I want to make copies. Insurance, like you said. They spend the next hour using the ancient photocopier in William's study to duplicate the most critical documents. Roger organizes the copies into 3 separate folders. One for me, one for you, and one to mail to my friend Mark, just in case. Bob examines one of the photographs, a group of military officers standing before a large facility. Evans is clearly identifiable, younger, but unmistakable. I remember this place. Outside Incheon. They called it the research division, but nobody knew exactly what they researched. Did you know about what they were doing? Bob's eyes cloud with old memories. We heard things, rumors, soldiers who went in for special debriefing and came out different. Some didn't come out at all. William was assigned there for 6 months in '51. When he came back to our unit, he was changed, started keeping journals, collecting evidence. Why didn't he expose it all years ago? Bob's laugh is without humor. And who would have believed him against men like Evans? In those days, you could disappear for asking the wrong questions. William played the long game instead. Gathered evidence, built his case, waited for the right moment, and then he got sick before he could use it. Bob nods solemnly. Dementia. Cruel irony for a man who spent his life preserving the truth. By the time he moved to that care facility, he could barely remember his own name, let alone what he'd been fighting for all those years. Roger seals the folders, a newfound determination hardening his features. Well, I remember now, and I'm going to finish what he started. As they complete their work, a sound from outside freezes them both. Car engines, more than one, coming up the driveway. Bob moves to the window, peering through the curtains. 2 vehicles, the black SUV and a sedan behind it. Roger quickly stuffs the original documents back into the metal box and hands it to Bob. Take the tunnel from the well. It must have another exit somewhere on the property. William never showed me another exit. Then hide in the tunnel until they're gone. I'll deal with our visitors. Bob takes the box reluctantly. You sure about this? Go. Now. And Bob, If anything happens to me, get that box to Mark Anderson. His number is in my phone. Bob slips out the back door, disappearing into the darkness toward the well. Roger collects one set of copies and conceals it in an inside pocket of his jacket. Then he moves to William's study and selects a bottle of bourbon from a dusty cabinet. He pours 2 fingers into a glass and sits in the old leather chair behind the desk waiting. The front door opens without a knock. Heavy footsteps cross the entrance hall, followed by the confident stride of a man who expects doors to open for him. James Evans appears in the study doorway, flanked by Morris and another man, the same one Roger had glimpsed searching the house earlier. Quite a historic place you have here, Roger. Roger sips his bourbon, deliberately casual. Colonel Evans, I'd say this is a surprise, but we both know it isn't. Evans enters the room fully, his presence commanding despite his age. His eyes scan the study, taking in details, assessing. I see William's taste in bourbon hasn't improved with age. The third man remains by the door, his posture alert, hands clasped before him in a stance that screams, security professional. Morris hovers near Evans, uncomfortable but trying to project confidence. Roger raises his glass slightly. Would you care for a drink? Colonel Evans shakes his head, remaining standing. I think we both know why I'm here, Roger. Let's not waste time with social niceties. You want what William left behind, the evidence. Evans' expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. What William accumulated was classified government property, materials he had no authorization to remove or retain. Roger sets his glass down, all pretense of casualness gone. Funny thing about classified materials, they do a great job of hiding classified crimes. Evans sighs as if dealing with a particularly stubborn child. You military types, always so black and white in your thinking. The world was different then, Roger. We were fighting an existential threat. The Soviets were exploring the same technologies, the same methods. It was an arms race of the mind, not just missiles. So that justifies experimenting on American soldiers, on prisoners, on civilians. Evans' face hardens. You have no context for those decisions, no understanding of what was at stake. Enlighten me. A cold smile touches Evans' lips. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to retrieve government property and to make you an offer. Morris steps forward, opening his briefcase on the desk. He extracts a document and places it before Roger. A very generous offer for the Cedar Hill property, 3 times its market value, plus a guarantee of continued visitation rights with Lucy. Roger doesn't even glance at the document. And if I refuse, Evans moves closer, his voice dropping. Morris Chambers, give us a moment. The lawyer and the security man exit the study, closing the door behind them. Evans takes the seat opposite Roger, suddenly looking every one of his 74 years. I've known your family a long time, Roger. Longer than you realize. Your father and I served together briefly before Korea. Did you know that Roger's surprise must show on his face because Evans nods? John Davis was a good soldier, followed orders, understood chain of command. William was different, always questioning, always digging. It made him an excellent intelligence officer, but a complicated man to work with. What's your point? Evans leans forward, his voice earnest. My point is that some secrets are buried for a reason, not just to protect the guilty, but to protect the innocent. Project Aurora wasn't just about interrogation techniques or mind control as your uncle believed. It was part of something much larger, something that continues to this day. Roger's skepticism is evident. And I'm supposed to just take your word for that. Evans reaches inside his jacket and withdraws a small leather wallet. From it, he produces an ID card that makes Roger's eyes widen. You're still active, Evans returns the ID to his wallet. Some of us never really retire, Roger. The Cold War didn't end with the fall of the Berlin Wall. It just evolved. You're saying Project Aurora is still operational? Evans chooses his words carefully. I'm saying that what began as Aurora laid the groundwork for programs that protect American interests to this day. Programs that would be compromised if William's selective evidence became public. Selective Evans' expression hardens. Your uncle only saw part of the picture. He documented the costs but never understood the benefits. The intelligence we gathered. The attacks we prevented. The lives we saved. At what cost? Evans stands his patience, clearly wearing thin. That's the burden of command, Roger. Making the hard choices. accepting that sometimes you sacrifice the few to save the many. He moves to the door, then turns back. The offer for the property stands until midnight tomorrow. After that, things become complicated for everyone. After Evans and his men depart, Roger remains in the study, the bourbon forgotten. The weight of what he's learned settles over him like a physical presence. His uncle's crusade, Evans's warnings, the mysterious programs that apparently continue to this day, all of it forming a dangerous web with Lucy caught in the middle. The back door opens quietly and Bob returns. They gone for now. Bob places the metal box on the desk. What did Evans want? Roger recounts the conversation, including the revelation about his father and the claim that Aurora evolved into current programs. Bob's expression is troubled. Could be true, or could be another manipulation. Evans was always good at twisting the truth to serve his purposes. Roger examines the mysterious ID Evans had shown him. He's still connected, high level from the look of it, which makes him even more dangerous. What are you going to do? Roger checks his watch. Nearly midnight. First thing tomorrow, I'm taking these documents to the lawyer Mark recommended. Then I'm going to find a way to get Lucy somewhere safe. As Roger drives back to his apartment, the events of the day replay in his mind. Evans' revelations, the mysterious continuation of Project Aurora, the threat lurking beneath his offer for the property. All pieces of a puzzle that's becoming increasingly dangerous. He parks behind his apartment building and takes the back stairs, cautious despite his exhaustion. At his door, he pauses. Something feels wrong. The hall is silent, the light above his door casting the usual dim glow, but instinct tells him to be wary. Roger inserts his key slowly, then pushes the door open without entering. The apartment is dark and apparently empty. He reaches for the light switch, then freezes as the barrel of a gun presses against the back of his neck. Inside. Slowly. The voice is professional, emotionless. Roger complies, moving into the apartment with measured steps. The door closes behind him and the lights come on to reveal two men. One holds the gun, a compact automatic with a silencer attached. The other is going through Roger's desk drawers, hands where I can see them. Roger raises his hands, assessing his options. Both men are professionals, their movements efficient, their eyes constantly scanning, evaluating. Military training or something similar. The second man abandons the desk and approaches. Where are the documents? Roger affects confusion. What documents? The blow comes without warning, a swift strike to the solar plexus that doubles him over, gasping for breath. Let's try again. The materials you took from the Cedar Hill property. Where are they? Roger straightens slowly, his voice ragged. Safety deposit box. Bank of Lakeside. The men exchange glances. The one who struck him speaks into a small radio. Target claims materials are in a bank vault, awaiting instructions. A moment later, a response crackles through. Bring him in, we'll verify. The man with the gun gestures toward the door. Move. Roger hesitates, weighing his chances. Two trained operatives, one armed. Not good odds. The second man seems to read his thoughts. Don't be stupid, Davis. We're not authorized to kill you, but accidents happen. They escort him to a waiting van, its windows tinted. Inside, they secure his wrists with plastic zip ties and blindfold him. The vehicle moves off, making numerous turns. Some unnecessarily, Roger suspects, to confuse his sense of direction. After what feels like 30 minutes, the van stops. He's led out and guided through what sounds like a large, echoing space, a warehouse or industrial building. Then down a corridor through several doors and finally into a room where they remove his blindfold. The space is stark. Concrete walls, a metal table bolted to the floor, two chairs. A single light fixture above casts harsh illumination. One wall holds what appears to be a one-way mirror. Standard interrogation setup. The men leave him alone, still zip-tied for what seems like hours but is probably only 20 minutes. A classic tactic to increase anxiety and compliance. Finally, the door opens and Stanley Morris enters, looking uncomfortable in this setting. Mr. Davis, I apologize for the unorthodox transportation. Roger's laugh is without humor. Is that what we're calling kidnapping these days? Morris sits opposite him, placing a folder on the table. No one has kidnapped you. Think of this as an informal discussion regarding matters of national security. With zip ties and guns, Morris sighs signaling through the mirror. One of the men enters and cuts Roger's restraints. Better? Roger rubs his wrist, restoring circulation. Where am I? A secure facility. That's all you need to know. Morris opens the folder revealing photographs of Roger at various locations over the past few days. At the courthouse meeting with Mark at the Cedar Hill house. We've been watching you, Mr. Davis. We know you've made copies of the Aurora documents. We know you've spoken with Mark Anderson, who I might add has no security clearance for the materials you've shown him. Roger keeps his expression neutral. If I've broken some law, charge me. Otherwise, I want to leave. Now. Morris closes the folder with a snap. It's not that simple. The information you possess represents a significant national security risk. Its release could compromise current operations, endanger lives, and damage international relations. So I've been told. By Colonel Evans. Morris nods. Then you understand the gravity of the situation. What I understand is that powerful men are desperate to bury evidence of their crimes. The door opens again and James Evans enters. He looks different here. Not the confident businessman or concerned grandfather, but a figure of authority, his bearing unmistakably military despite his civilian clothes. Leave us, Stanley. Morris exits and Evans takes his place at the table. He studies Roger for a long moment before speaking. I'd hoped we could resolve this amicably. By breaking into my apartment and abducting me, Evans dismisses this with a wave. A precaution. One that would have been unnecessary if you'd accepted my offer. Roger leans forward. What happens now? You can't just make me disappear. People know what I've found. Evans's smile is cold. Anderson Thompson. There are two old soldiers with histories of mental health issues and alcohol abuse. Not the most credible witnesses. A chill runs through Roger as he realizes how thoroughly Evans has prepared. And Lucy, what happens to her when her father mysteriously vanishes? Evans's expression softens slightly. Lucy will be well cared for. Patricia is her mother after all. Roger's voice is steel. Patricia knows what you're doing, doesn't she? She's part of this. Evans sighs suddenly, looking tired. Patricia knows what she needs to know. That her father's reputation and legacy are at stake. That certain old operations must remain classified for the greater good. Roger studies the man across from him. Powerful, connected, but aging. A relic of a different era trying to protect his place in history. What if I gave you the original documents, all of them, in exchange for my freedom and guaranteed safety for Lucy? Evans considers this, clearly surprised by the offer. And the copies, I destroy them. All of them. You get what you want. The evidence contained. But Lucy and I walk away unharmed and unthreatened. Evans leans back, his eyes never leaving Roger's face. You'd surrender everything your uncle worked for, just like that. Roger's expression remains impassive. I'm a father first. Everything else is secondary. Evans nods slowly, a look of respect crossing his features. You have the originals with you. Roger shakes his head. Safe location. I'll take you there once we have a deal. Evans stands, straightening his jacket. I need to make a call. Don't go anywhere. He exits, leaving Roger alone again. Minutes pass, stretching into a half hour. Roger examines the room carefully, looking for cameras, microphones, any sign of surveillance. There's little to see. The space is designed for precisely this purpose, to isolate and control. Finally, the door opens again. Evans returns, accompanied by Morris and one of the men from earlier. We have a deal, Mr. Davis. You provide all original Aurora materials, destroy all copies in our presence, and sign a non-disclosure agreement. In return, you and Lucy remain unharmed, and the Cedar Hill property stays in your possession. Roger stands facing Evans directly. I want it in writing, and I want to see Lucy tonight. Morris already has the paperwork ready. Evans extends his hand. We'll take you to the materials now, then to see Lucy. Roger hesitates, then shakes the offered hand. As they exit the interrogation room, he realizes they're in what appears to be an abandoned office building, not the government facility he had imagined. They escort him to the same van, but this time without restraints or blindfold. Evans sits opposite him as they drive. You made the right choice, Roger. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Roger looks out the window, recognizing their location now. They're heading toward the edge of town in the direction of Cedar Hill. I'm not surrendering, Colonel. I'm choosing my battles more carefully. The van turns onto the road leading to the Davis property. Roger directs them to stop at the top of the driveway. The materials are hidden on the grounds. I'll need to show you. Evans nods to the driver and the security man. Go with him. Keep in radio contact. Roger leads the men along the forest path toward the well. The night is clear, a full moon providing ample light to navigate the trail. As they approach the clearing, Roger slows, scanning the area carefully. It's just ahead, in the old well. One man keeps his hand near his concealed weapon as Roger approaches the well and removes the cover. He peers down into the darkness. I need to go down and get it. The box is hidden in a side chamber. The men exchange glances, clearly suspicious. I'll go with you. The second man produces a powerful flashlight and shines it down the shaft. How do we get down there? Roger points to the shed. There's climbing equipment in there. Harnesses, ropes. My uncle used it to maintain the shaft. As they move toward the shed, Roger slows his pace, allowing the men to get slightly ahead. His hand closes around a heavy branch fallen from a nearby oak. With practiced precision, he brings it down on the first man's head, a solid blow that sends him crumpling to the ground. The second man turns, reaching for his weapon, but Roger is already charging, tackling him to the ground. They struggle briefly, but Roger's military training proves superior. A swift strike to the throat, another to the temple, and the second man goes still. Roger quickly checks both men, alive but unconscious. He drags them into the shed and secures them with their own zip ties. Then he descends into the well shaft alone. In the underground office, Bob Thompson is waiting, shotgun across his knees. Right on schedule, though you cut it close. I had to make it convincing. Bob nods toward the metal box on the desk. You sure about this? Roger opens the box, verifying its contents. It's the only way to keep Lucy safe. For now, they replace the original documents with carefully prepared forgeries. Convincing at first glance, but missing the most damning evidence. The real documents are already secured elsewhere, thanks to Bob's earlier efforts. As Roger prepares to ascend, Bob places a hand on his shoulder. William would be proud. You're playing the long game just like he did. Roger climbs back up the shaft and carefully reseals the well cover. He returns to the van, the metal box under his arm, his expression appropriately defeated. I've got it. All of it. Evans examines the contents carefully, his satisfaction evident. Smart decision, Roger. Now for the NDA. Morris produces the document and Roger signs without reading it. His mind is elsewhere, calculating next steps, planning his countermove. They drive to Evans' mansion where Patricia and Lucy are waiting. Lucy runs to Roger immediately, throwing her arms around him. Patricia watches from the doorway, her expression a mixture of relief and guilt. Dad, where have you been? Mom said you were on a business trip. Roger embraces his daughter tightly, looking over her head at Patricia and Evans. Something like that, but I'm here now. Evans approaches, his public persona back in place. The concerned grandfather, the respectable businessman. Lucy, why don't you show your father what you've been working on in the study? Patricia and I need to discuss something. As Lucy leads Roger away, he catches Patricia's eye. The look they exchange speaks volumes. She knows what her father has done, what she has been complicit in, and Roger knows that this battle is far from over. In the study, Lucy shows Roger her science project, a detailed model of a solar system with planets made from painted styrofoam balls. Her enthusiasm is a stark contrast to the tension permeating the house. Isn't it cool, Dad? Grandpa helped me get all the distances exactly right. Roger admires the model, forcing a smile. It's amazing, Lucy. You did a fantastic job. She beams at his praise, then her expression grows serious. Dad, are we still going to fix up the old house together? Roger kneels to her level, looking directly into her eyes. Absolutely. That's our project, and nothing's going to change that. Lucy lowers her voice. I found something at Grandpa's house, in his study, papers with your name on them, and pictures of the old house. Roger keeps his expression neutral, despite his racing thoughts. What kind of papers? She glances toward the door, then reaches into her pocket and withdraws a folded piece of paper. I took this. I think it's important. Roger unfolds it carefully. It's a memorandum on Department of Defense letterhead dated just 2 weeks earlier. The subject line reads, Project Aurora, Legacy Containment. The text refers to securing all remaining documentation and neutralizing potential exposure threats. His hand steady, Roger refolds the paper and tucks it into his pocket. Thank you, Lucy. This is very important, but I need you to promise me something. Don't take any more papers from Grandpa's study. It could be dangerous. She nods solemnly. Is Grandpa a bad man? Roger chooses his words carefully. People are complicated, Lucy. Sometimes good people make bad choices for what they think are good reasons. The door opens and Patricia enters. Lucy, it's getting late. Time to get ready for bed. Lucy hugs Roger tightly. Are you leaving, Dad? He returns the embrace, memorizing the feel of her in his arms. For tonight. But I'll see you very soon. I promise. As Lucy reluctantly leaves with Patricia, Evans enters the study, a glass of scotch in hand. He offers one to Roger, who declines. Everything is in order. The documents have been secured, and the men who assisted with your transportation have been debriefed. Roger stands facing Evans directly. What happens now? Evans sips his scotch. You go back to your life. You renovate that old house if you want, or sell it. Your choice. You see Lucy according to the existing custody arrangement. Nothing changes except that the Aurora materials no longer exist. And if I decide this isn't over, Evans' expression hardens. Then you become a threat to national security, with all that entails. Roger moves toward the door, then pauses. You know, Colonel, my uncle taught me something important. About playing the long game. Evans' eyes narrow, meaning Roger smiles thinly. Meaning good night, Colonel. I'll see myself out. As Roger drives away from the Evans estate, his mind is clear-focused. The metal box of Aurora documents may be in Evans' possession, but the game is far from over. In his pocket, Lucy's pilfered memo provides fresh evidence of a conspiracy that continues to this day. He drives directly to Mark Anderson's apartment, where Bob is waiting with the real Aurora documents, safely retrieved from their hiding place after the exchange at the well. Mark examines the memo from Lucy, his expression grave. This confirms it. They're still active. Different name probably, but same basic operation. Roger nods, the pieces falling into place. That's why Evans is so desperate. It's not just about protecting his reputation or covering up old sins. The program he helped create is still running. Bob's weathered face is solemn in the lamplight. William suspected as much. Said some programs never really die, they just go deeper, underground. Mark spreads the Aurora documents on his dining table. The question is, what do we do with this? Roger studies the evidence of past atrocities, the names of those responsible, the projects that may still be continuing under new designations. His uncle's 20-year crusade to expose the truth now in his hands. We do what William would have done. We build the case, gather more evidence, find out what Aurora has evolved into. Bob nods in approval. The long game. Mark is more cautious. Evans won't just let this go. He'll be watching you, waiting for any sign that you've held something back. Roger thinks of Lucy, of the risk to her if he moves too quickly or carelessly. Then we give him nothing to see. For now, he gathers the documents, returning them to the metal box. I need a secure place for these. Somewhere Evans would never look. Mark considers this. I have a safety deposit box in another city, under a different name. We could move them there tomorrow. Roger shakes his head. Too obvious. Evans will be monitoring bank activities. Bob clears his throat. I might have a solution. Back at Cedar Hill, something William showed me once, but I don't think even he realized its potential. Roger looks at his old friend with newfound respect. Show me. The three men drive to Cedar Hill in the pre-dawn hours, taking a circuitous route to avoid potential surveillance. The property is silent, bathed in the soft glow of approaching sunrise. Evans' men have long since been removed from the shed, the only evidence of their presence being scattered footprints in the dirt. Bob leads them not to the well, but to the house itself. In the master bedroom, he kneels beside the fireplace and presses a specific sequence of decorative carvings on the mantelpiece. A section of the wall adjacent to the fireplace slides open, revealing a narrow passage. William showed me this once. Said it was part of the original house design from the days when such things were fashionable. I don't think he ever used it much. The passage leads to a small room, dusty but dry and secure. The space is empty save for a few cobwebs and an old trunk pushed against one wall. Roger examines the hidden room with growing appreciation. Perfect. Evans already searched the house. He won't look again, especially not here. They secure the documents in the old trunk, which Bob locks with a key from his pocket. William gave me this years ago. Said I might need it someday. As they seal the hidden entrance, Roger feels a sense of purpose that has been missing since his return from Korea. His uncle's mission is now his own, not just to expose past wrongs, but to stop whatever Aurora has become in the present. Mark checks his watch. Dawn in an hour. We should go. Before leaving, Roger stands in the entrance hall, looking up at the portrait of William Davis that hangs on the wall. The stern face seems different now, not distant and forbidding, but watchful, protective. Bob places a hand on his shoulder. He chose you for a reason, Roger. He knew someday you'd stand where you're standing now, making the same choice he made. Roger nods, understanding at last, not to expose the truth at any cost, but to protect the innocent while pursuing justice. As they drive away from Cedar Hill, the rising sun casts long shadows across the landscape. Roger watches the old house recede in the rearview mirror, no longer just an inheritance but a responsibility, a legacy of truth in a world of secrets. The game with Evans has only just begun, but Roger has made his opening move. Like his uncle before him, he will play the long game, gathering evidence, building his case, waiting for the right moment. And when that moment comes, the truth about Aurora, past and present, will finally see the light of day. 2 weeks pass. The Cedar Hill property stands sentinel against the autumn sky, its weathered facade bearing witness to decades of secrets. The morning sun casts long shadows across the freshly cleared lawn where Roger Davis directs a team of workers. Scaffolding embraces one wing of the old Victorian, the sound of hammers and saws filling the air. Amazing what a little investment can do. The east wing is almost completely restored. Roger supervises as the workers install new windows, their frames matching the original design but with modern energy-efficient glass. The porch has been rebuilt, its sagging steps replaced with sturdy oak treads. A fresh coat of paint, the original deep green with white trim, has restored dignity to the entrance. Bob Thompson approaches carrying 2 steaming mugs of coffee. His weathered face creases in a smile as he surveys the progress. William would hardly recognize the place. You've done more in 2 weeks than he did in 20 years. Had some motivation he didn't. In the distance, a yellow school bus appears on the main road, then turns onto the Cedar Hill Drive. Roger checks his watch, right on schedule. The bus stops at the foot of the driveway, and Lucy bounds out, her backpack bouncing against her back as she runs toward the house. Dad, the new windows look amazing. Just like in the old pictures, Roger embraces his daughter, lifting her off her feet in a bear hug. Her weekend visits have been the highlight of these difficult weeks. How was school today, kiddo? We had our science test. I got an A. And Ms. Peterson asked if I could bring my solar system model for the science fair next week. That's fantastic. You've worked hard on that project. Lucy's expression clouds slightly. Mom says I can't bring it, though. She says it needs to stay at Grandpa's house. Roger keeps his expression neutral, though his jaw tightens imperceptibly. Since the confrontation with Evans, Patricia has maintained the custody arrangement, but has grown increasingly controlling about Lucy's activities. We'll figure something out. Maybe we can build another model together this weekend. An even better one. Lucy's face brightens. Could we? With those glow-in-the-dark paints you showed me? Absolutely, we'll start tomorrow. But first I want to show you the progress upstairs. Your room is almost finished. Inside, the transformation is even more dramatic. The entrance hall gleams with polished hardwood floors. The grand staircase has been restored, its banisters smooth under Lucy's hand as they ascend to the second floor. The hallway is bright with fresh paint and new light fixtures that maintain the period style. Here we are, the princess suite. Roger opens a door to reveal a bedroom that would be any young girl's dream. The walls are a soft lavender, the ceiling painted with wispy clouds and a scattering of silver stars. A canopy bed stands against one wall, while a window seat overlooks the garden below. A small desk occupies one corner, perfectly sized for homework or art projects. Lucy's eyes widen in delight. It's perfect, just like I imagined. She runs to the window seat, peering out at the view. You can see all the way to the oak grove from here. Roger watches his daughter's excitement with quiet satisfaction. These moments make the danger worthwhile. There's a special feature I added just for you. He approaches the built-in bookcase beside the desk and demonstrates how one section swings outward to reveal a small hidden compartment, your very own secret hiding place. For treasures, journals, whatever you want to keep private. Lucy examines the mechanism with fascination. Just like the hidden places in the rest of the house, Does it have a special way to open it? Roger shows her the concealed latch. Press here and here at the same time. Only you and I know about it. Later, as evening falls, Roger prepares dinner in the newly renovated kitchen. The old cast iron stove has been restored to working condition, complemented by modern appliances that blend surprisingly well with the Victorian aesthetic. Lucy sits at the island counter drawing in her sketchbook. Dad, is it true that this house is special, that it has secrets? Roger pauses in his cooking, weighing his response carefully. All old houses have stories, Lucy. This one more than most. Your great-uncle William was an interesting man who lived through interesting times. Lucy's pencil stills. Mom and Grandpa were fighting about the house again yesterday. I heard them when they thought I was asleep. Grandpa called it the problem that won't go away. Roger maintains his composure despite the chill that runs through him. Grown-ups disagree sometimes, especially about old family properties. Lucy looks up, her eyes serious beyond her years. I think they're afraid of something here. Something they don't want anyone to find. Roger serves their dinner, a simple meal of roast chicken and vegetables. He keeps his tone casual despite the significance of the conversation. What makes you think that Lucy lowers her voice conspiratorially? I heard Grandpa on the phone. He said something about contingency plans and final containment. He sounded really angry. Roger's mind races, but his face reveals nothing. Probably just business talk. Your grandfather deals with complicated situations. Lucy seems unconvinced, but drops the subject. After dinner, they play board games in the library, now restored with comfortable furniture and shelves beginning to fill with books. The hidden compartment where they first found William's journal remains their secret undisturbed since their discovery. As bedtime approaches, Roger tucks Lucy into her new bed, the sheets crisp and smelling of lavender. Tomorrow we'll start on that solar system model. Maybe add some comets this time. What do you think? Lucy yawns, already half asleep. Perfect. And Dad, I'm glad you got this house. It feels right that we're here. After Lucy falls asleep, Roger descends to the kitchen, where Bob waits, his expression grave. Got a call from Mark. Something's happening. He received a warning from a contact in Justice. Says Evans is making moves. What kind of moves? Bob's voice drops to a near whisper. Word is he's activated some old connections. People who used to work on Aurora or whatever it evolved into. Mark thinks they're preparing a cleanup operation. Roger absorbs this, his military training clicking into gear. How soon? Bob shrugs, the gesture tense. Could be days, could be tomorrow. Mark's contact couldn't get specifics, just that it's in motion. The next morning dawns clear and cold. Roger rises early, checking the property's perimeter before Lucy wakes. The renovation crew won't arrive until 9, giving him time to prepare. He places a call to Mark Anderson, keeping his voice low. Any updates? Nothing concrete. My contact went dark. Could mean they got to him or he got spooked. We need to accelerate the plan. I can't risk them moving while Lucy's here. You're still bringing her to the city tomorrow. That's the plan. Patricia's expecting her back by 6. We'll make our move after I drop Lucy off. Roger ends the call as he hears Lucy stirring upstairs. He prepares breakfast, maintaining a facade of normalcy despite the tension coiling within him. They spend the morning as planned, constructing a new solar system model using wire styrofoam balls and glow-in-the-dark paint. Lucy's delight in the project is infectious, temporarily pushing back the shadow of Evan's looming threat. After lunch, they walk the property grounds, Roger pointing out the various trees and plants that his uncle had cultivated over the years. The day is peaceful, belying the storm that Roger senses approaching. As evening falls, he receives a text message from Mark. Activity at Evans' compound. Multiple vehicles arriving. Roger's pulse quickens. He checks that Lucy is engrossed in her book before slipping away to call Bob. They're gathering at Evans' place. Could be nothing, could be preparation. I'll keep watch from the road. If they move towards Cedar Hill, you'll have warning. Thanks, Bob. Remember, if anything happens. I know the plan. Get the girl to safety, then the documents to Mark. Roger ends the call and returns to Lucy, suggesting they make hot chocolate and watch a movie. His outward calm masks hypervigilance, every sense attuned to potential threat. They settle in the library, the old projector screen pulled down to display the film against the wall. Lucy nestles against him on the sofa, unaware of her father's tension. Halfway through the movie, Roger's phone vibrates silently. A text from Bob. Black SUV left Evans compound. Headed your way. ETA 15 Manawan. Roger's mind shifts to tactical mode. The confrontation he's been preparing for is imminent, but Lucy's safety comes first. Hey, Lucy, how about we have a little adventure? The movie's not over yet. I know, but this is a special kind of adventure, like a secret mission. Lucy sits up intrigued. What kind of mission? Roger keeps his voice light, though his eyes scan the room calculating. Remember how we talked about the house having secret places? Well, there's one I haven't shown you yet, a special hiding place that only family members know about. He leads her to the master bedroom and activates the hidden mechanism in the fireplace mantel. The wall panel slides open, revealing the narrow passage they discovered weeks earlier. Wow, a secret passageway. Just like in the books, Roger ushers her inside, illuminating the passage with a flashlight. This was built when the house was first constructed. People believed in having escape routes back then. Lucy explores the passage with excitement, unaware of the real reason for this sudden adventure. In the small hidden room at the end, Roger has prepared an emergency kit: water, snacks, a portable radio, and blankets. He positions Lucy comfortably on an old armchair that he had secretly moved into the space days earlier. Now this is very important, Lucy. We're going to play a special game. You need to stay here very quiet until I come back for you. No matter what you hear. It's like hide and seek, but with special rules. Lucy's expression shifts from excitement to uncertainty. Something wrong, guy? Roger kneels to her level, meeting her eyes directly. Nothing's wrong, but sometimes grown-ups play complicated games too. This is just a precaution. Like the fire drills you have at school. He hands her a small device, a modified panic button connected to his phone. If you need me, urgently press this, but only in a real emergency. Otherwise, stay quiet and wait for me to come get you. I won't be long. Lucy takes the device, her expression serious. I promise, I'll be super quiet. Roger hugs her tightly, then steps back into the passage. Remember, this is our secret place. Nobody else knows about it. He closes the panel behind him, ensuring it's securely latched but can be opened from inside. Back in the master bedroom, he quickly erases any signs of their presence, then moves to the window. In the distance, headlights appear on the road leading to Cedar Hill. The confrontation is minutes away. Roger descends to the library, retrieving a small revolver from a hidden compartment in the desk. He checks that it's loaded, then tucks it into his waistband at the small of his back. From another drawer, he takes a digital recorder and activates it, slipping it into his shirt pocket. Whatever happens next, there will be a record. The crunch of tires on gravel announces the arrival of the black SUV. Roger positions himself in the study, seated casually in the leather chair behind the desk. The same chair where his uncle had likely sat while documenting the horrors of Project Aurora decades earlier. The symmetry is not lost on him. The front door opens without a knock. Heavy footsteps cross the entrance hall, followed by the measured tread of polished shoes on hardwood. James Evans appears in the doorway, flanked by two men. Not the same ones from the previous encounter, but cut from the same cloth. Security professionals with military bearing. Beautiful evening for a visit, Colonel. Evans enters, without invitation, his gaze sweeping the renovated study with apparent approval. You've made progress with the old place. More than I would have expected. Roger remains seated, deliberately relaxed. Had some good contractors. And motivation. Evans gestures and his men take up positions by the door and window. The implied threat is clear but unspoken. I'll be direct, Roger. There's been a development. You don't say. Evans removes a thin file from his briefcase and places it on the desk. Our agreement was predicated on your surrender of all Aurora documentation. All copies, all originals. I upheld my end of the bargain. Evans opens the file to reveal surveillance photos. Roger entering Mark Anderson's apartment building. Roger and Bob at the Cedar Hill property, examining what appears to be documents. Then perhaps you can explain these. Roger glances at the photos without touching them. I visit friends. We renovate old houses, hardly suspicious activities. Evans's expression hardens. We've received intelligence that suggests otherwise. A source inside the Justice Department indicates that certain sensitive materials are being prepared for submission to the Inspector General's office. Materials with a striking resemblance to the Aurora documents. Roger raises an eyebrow, his poker face perfect. And you think I'm involved because? Evans closes the file with a snap. Don't play games, Roger. You're the only possible source, which means you lied. You kept copies, or someone else had copies. My uncle was thorough, remember? Evans leans forward, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. Let me be absolutely clear. Project Aurora and its descendants are matters of the highest national security. Their exposure would damage this country in ways you cannot imagine. The same speech as before. National security, the greater good, all to hide what torture mind-controlled experiments on unwitting soldiers. Evans straightens his composure, returning. I didn't come here to debate morality. I came to give you one last chance to surrender whatever materials you've retained. Voluntarily, the threat hangs in the air between them. Roger maintains his calm, though his senses are heightened, aware of every movement, every potential weapon in the room. And if I told you I don't have anything? Evans sighs as if disappointed. Then we move to contingency plans, which would be unfortunate for everyone. Roger stands slowly, hands visible. Let's stop dancing around it, Colonel. You're here to eliminate a threat. Me, the last loose end from your precious Aurora program. Evans doesn't deny it. You've put me in an impossible position, Roger. I tried to resolve this amicably, offered you a way out, but you forced my hand. Roger moves around the desk, calculating distances, angles. And Lucy, what happens to her when I'm gone? Evans has the decency to look uncomfortable. Lucy will be well cared for. Patricia will have full custody, of course. She'll want for nothing. Roger's laugh is without humor, except a father who loves her. A father who hasn't sold his soul to cover up atrocities. Evans signals to his men, who move forward, hands reaching inside their jackets. I truly regret this outcome, Roger. For what it's worth, I respected your service, your dedication to your daughter. Roger's hand edges toward his back, where the revolver waits. One last question, Colonel. Did my father know about Aurora, about what you were really doing in Korea? Evans pauses, something flickering across his features. Hesitation, perhaps even guilt. John Davis was a good soldier. He followed orders, never asked questions that might lead to uncomfortable answers. But he found out, didn't he? That's why he died so young, why there was never a clear explanation. Evans' expression confirms Roger's suspicion before his words can. Your father discovered certain operational details, unauthorized. He confronted me, threatened exposure. There was a car accident, tragic but necessary. Roger's world narrows to a pinpoint of clarity. The mystery of his father's death, the event that had shaped his childhood, suddenly resolved in Evans's cold admission. You killed him, your friend, your brother in arms. Evans straightened his steel, returning to his spine. I protected the mission, as I was sworn to do, as I will continue to do. The hidden recorder in Roger's pocket captures every word as Evans gestures to his men. No more discussion, no more negotiation. The Davis problem ends tonight. The men draw their weapons, silenced automatics, professional hardware. Roger tenses, ready to draw his own gun, calculating his odds against two trained operatives. Not good, but he won't go quietly. Before anyone can move, the crack of a shotgun blast echoes through the house. The study window shatters, and the security man nearest it drops, clutching his shoulder. A second blast follows, forcing Evans and the remaining operative to take cover. Bob Thompson's voice booms from outside. Next one's center mass. I've got a clear shot at both of you. Roger uses the distraction to draw his revolver, training it on Evans. Tell your man to drop his weapon. Now, Evans signals compliance, and the remaining operative carefully places his gun on the floor. You're making a terrible mistake, Roger. No, Colonel. I'm finally correcting one. Roger keeps his weapon trained on Evans while retrieving the operative's gun with his free hand. Bob, we're secure in here. The old veteran enters through the broken window, shotgun still at the ready. His weathered face is grim but determined. Got your message. Came as soon as I could. Perfect timing. Roger takes a zip tie from his pocket and secures the wounded operative, who grimaces but remains silent. Professional to the core. Evans watches these proceedings with cold calculation. You realize this changes nothing. You've just added assault and kidnapping to your charges. You'll never see Lucy again. Roger retrieves the digital recorder from his pocket and places it on the desk, pressing stop on the recording. Actually, Colonel, I think your confession to murdering my father changes everything. Evans's expression flickers, the first genuine surprise he's shown. You recorded, Roger nods, every word. Your admission about my father's death, your authorization of Aurora, your intent to eliminate me tonight, all of it captured for posterity. He pockets the recorder again, keeping his gun trained on Evans. That recording is insurance. Copies are already in secure locations. If anything happens to me or to Lucy, they go public immediately. Evans' mind works visibly, calculating new odds, new strategies. What do you want Roger's voices steal? First, you're going to call off whatever cleanup operation you've planned. Second, you're going to sign a legal document guaranteeing my uncontested custody of Lucy. Third, you're going to retire. Completely. No more pulling strings from the shadows. Evans laughs without humor. You're delusional. You think a recording will protect you against the resources I can bring to bear. Roger steps closer, his voice dropping. I think a recording of a decorated retired colonel confessing to murdering a fellow officer and authorizing illegal human experimentation would cause quite a stir, especially when accompanied by Williams' complete Aurora documentation. The originals, not the forgeries I gave you. Evans' composure cracks for the first time. You switched the documents. The day you had me brought to that warehouse. Did you really think I'd surrender everything? That I'd trust you to keep your word? Bob secures the second operative, then takes position by the door, shotgun ready. Evans studies Roger with new respect, tinged with resignation. Even if I agreed to your terms, there are others involved. People who would see exposure of Aurora as an existential threat. Roger nods. I'm aware. That's why the Aurora documentation stays secure, unreleased, as long as Lucy and I remain safe. A stalemate, Colonel. Not perfect, but better than mutually assured destruction. The wounded operative groans, blood seeping through his fingers where he clutches his shoulder. Your man needs medical attention. Decision time, Colonel. Evans weighs his options, the calculation visible in his eyes. What assurance do I have that you'll maintain this? Stalemate. Roger gestures around the room. This house, my uncle's legacy, it's where Lucy and I will build our life. As long as we're left in peace, the past stays buried. Evans is silent for a long moment, then nods almost imperceptibly. A truce, then. On your terms. For now. Roger lowers his weapon slightly. Call Patricia. Tell her there has been a change of plans regarding Lucy's custody, that you've reconsidered your position. Evans reluctantly complies, making the call under Roger's watchful eye. His side of the conversation is terse but clear. He's backing off, recommending Patricia do the same. When he finishes, Roger provides paper and pen. Now write out your agreement to our arrangement. Full custody to me, no interference, your complete retirement from all professional activities. Evans writes his penmanship precise despite the circumstances. He signs and dates the document, then slides it across the desk. This changes nothing about the importance of keeping Aurora buried. You understand that Roger folds the document and tucks it away. I understand exactly what Aurora represents, Colonel. To the country, to you, to my family. That's why I won't expose it unless forced. He gestures toward the door. Bob will escort you and your men off the property. Your operative will receive medical attention once you're clear of Cedar Hill. Evans stands straightening his jacket with dignity despite his defeat. You're more like William than I realized. He too understood the value of leverage. Roger's expression remains hard. I'm nothing like my uncle. He spent 20 years hiding evidence and waiting for the right moment. I'm not that patient. As Bob herds Evans and his men toward the door, Roger calls after them. One more thing, Colonel. If anything happens to Mark Anderson, Bob Thompson, or any of my other associates, our arrangement is void. The documents, the recording, everything goes public immediately. Evans pauses at the threshold. For what it's worth, Roger, I never took pleasure in any of it. Not your father, not Aurora. We did what we believed necessary in a dangerous world. Roger's response is cold. Save the justifications for your memoirs, Colonel, if you ever dare write them. After Evans and his men depart, Roger secures the house, checking windows and doors. Only when he's certain they're alone does he return to the master bedroom and open the hidden passage. Lucy sits in the armchair, a book open on her lap, remarkably calm for a child her age. Is the game over now? Dad Roger kneels before her, gathering her in a tight embrace. Yes, sweetheart, the game is over. And we won. Later that night, after Lucy is asleep in her new room, Roger sits in the library with Bob and Mark, who has arrived from the city. The three men share a bottle of William's Old Bourbon, the atmosphere one of cautious victory. You think he'll honor the agreement? Roger sips his drink, considering. He's a pragmatist. The risk of exposure outweighs the benefit of coming after us. For now. Mark places a folder on the table between them. My contact came through with more information. Aurora didn't just end. It evolved. Multiple successor programs under different code names. The latest incarnation is called Nightshade. Still active, still operational. Roger examines the limited information. Budget allocations, personnel transfers, heavily redacted operational summaries. So Evans was telling the truth about that much, at least. The work continues. Bob refills their glasses, his weathered hands steady. William always said the hardest part wasn't finding the truth. It was deciding what to do with it. Roger raises his glass in a silent toast to his uncle's memory. He was right, but he never had the leverage we have now. Mark's expression is troubled. This truce with Evans won't last forever. Men like him don't accept defeat, they just regroup. Roger nods, accepting this reality. That's why we maintain our insurance. Multiple copies, multiple locations. And we keep building the case. Not just about the past, but about what's happening now, Nightshade, whatever comes next. The three men fall silent, contemplating the path ahead. Finally, Bob speaks. William would be proud, not just of what you've done, but of why you did it. Roger's gaze drifts to the ceiling, toward Lucy's room above. I did it for her, for my father, for all the others who never knew what was done to them. Mark raises his glass to William Davis, who started the fight. Roger joins the toast. And to those who will finish it. Morning sunlight streams through new windows, casting patterns across the polished floors of Cedar Hill. 3 weeks have passed since the confrontation with Evans. The renovation is nearly complete, the old house restored to its former glory while embracing modern comforts. Roger stands in the entrance hall, surveying the transformation. The musty, neglected mansion is now a warm, inviting home. In the kitchen, Lucy and Bob prepare breakfast, their laughter drifting through the house. The doorbell rings, an unexpected sound. Roger approaches cautiously, checking through the sidelight before opening the door. Patricia stands on the porch alone, her usual polished appearance slightly diminished by evident fatigue. Patricia, this is a surprise. Roger steps back, allowing her to enter. She takes in the renovated entrance hall with genuine appreciation. You've done wonders with the place. It's beautiful. What brings you here? Patricia's composure falters slightly. My father suffered a stroke 3 days ago. Roger absorbs this news, his expression neutral. I'm sorry to hear that. She nods, accepting his measured response. The doctors say he'll recover, but he won't be the same. He's resigned from all his positions, corporate and otherwise. Just as agreed. Patricia moves further into the house, her gaze taking in the changes. I've signed the custody papers. Full custody to you with generous visitation rights for me. As we discussed, she removes an envelope from her purse and hands it to Roger. My father's attorney delivered these this morning, instructions to be given to you in the event of his incapacitation. Roger opens the envelope carefully. Inside is a key and a handwritten note in Evans's precise script. Safe deposit box, 1127 First National Bank. What you seek is there. Lucy's voice rings out from the kitchen. Mom, is that you? Patricia's face softens as Lucy appears, flour dusting her cheeks from the pancake preparation. Hello, sweetheart. I came to see your new home. It's wonderful. Lucy approaches cautiously, looking to Roger for reassurance. He nods, encouraging her. Want to see my room? Dad made it exactly how I dreamed it would be. Patricia allows herself to be led upstairs, leaving Roger alone with the mysterious message from Evans. Bob emerges from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a dish towel. Everything all right? Roger shows him the note and key. Evans has had a stroke, apparently left this for me. Bob examines the key with suspicion. Could be a trap. Roger tucks the items back into the envelope. Maybe, but I don't think so. Not anymore. Later that day, after Patricia has departed with promises to call about her next visit with Lucy, Roger drives to the bank alone. The The safe deposit box yields a slim file containing documents Roger immediately recognizes. Military service records for John Davis, his father. Among them is a letter sealed and addressed to Roger in his father's handwriting. The date shows it was written just days before his fatal accident. With trembling fingers, Roger breaks the seal. Son, if you're reading this, then my worst fears have been realized. What I've discovered about Project Aurora cannot be unsaid or unknown. I've entrusted this letter to James, though I fear he may be compromised as well. The project has crossed lines that no American, no human being should cross. I've gathered evidence, but before I could secure it, I was discovered. I don't know if I'll have time to tell you this in person, but know that everything I've done to protect you and to honor the oath I took to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Some enemies wear our own uniform. Trust William. He knows. Love, Dad. Roger sits in his car outside the bank, the letter clutched in his hand, tears blurring his vision. After all these years, his father's final message preserved by the very man responsible for his death. Evan's final act of what redemption confession? The gesture is as complex as the man himself. That evening, Roger adds his father's letter to the hidden collection of Aurora documents. The truth is assembled now, piece by piece, a legacy spanning 3 generations of the Davis family. As he seals the hidden room, Roger feels a sense of completion. Not an ending. The fight against programs like Aurora and Nightshade will continue, but a chapter closed, a debt honored. In the garden, Lucy plants flowers along the newly restored pathway, her small hands patting soil around the roots. Bob supervises, offering guidance with the patience of a man who has seen both war and peace and values the latter infinitely more. Roger joins them, kneeling beside his daughter to help with the planting. What do you think, Lucy? Will they bloom before winter? She considers this seriously, her face scrunched in concentration. Ms. Peterson says these ones can survive the frost. They'll be the first to bloom in spring. Roger smiles, watching her work. In her determination, her thoughtfulness, he sees echoes of his father, his uncle himself. The Davis legacy continuing not through secrets and shadows, but through this child planting flowers in the soil of her ancestors. Bob moves away to check on the sprinkler system, leaving father and daughter alone. Lucy looks up suddenly, her expression earnest. Dad, are we safe now? Really safe? Roger meets her gaze, understanding the depth of her question. Despite her youth, she has sensed the tension, the danger that surrounded them these past weeks. Yes, Lucy, we're safe now. This is our home, and nothing's going to change that. She nods, satisfied, then returns to her planting. After a moment, she speaks again, her voice casual, but her words striking to the core. I found Grandpa William's other journal, the one behind the loose brick in the library. It had pictures of you when you were little. He called you my greatest hope. Roger, still surprised once again by his daughter's perceptiveness, her ability to uncover what others have hidden. Your great-uncle was a complicated man, Lucy, but he loved his family very much, especially those he couldn't be close to. She plants another flower, patting the soil with care. Like how you love me even when I'm with Mom, even when you can't see me. Roger's throat tightens with emotion. Exactly like that. Lucy sits back on her heels, surveying their work with satisfaction. I think this is going to be the best garden ever. And next year we can plant even more. Roger looks up at the restored house, solid and enduring against the autumn sky. Through its windows, he can see the rooms where his family's history has been preserved, where his daughter will grow, where the future will unfold in ways his uncle and father could only have hoped for. Next year and all the years after that, this is where we belong, Lucy. This is our legacy. The afternoon sun casts long shadows across the lawn, but Cedar Hill stands bright and renewed, its windows reflecting golden light. No longer a repository of dark secrets, but a home where truth has finally found its place in the light. 6 months later, spring has returned to Cedar Hill. The grand old Victorian stands proud against the blue sky, its restoration complete. Fresh paint gleams in the morning sunlight, the gardens beginning to bloom with the flowers Lucy planted in the fall. Inside the study, Roger sits at his uncle's desk, now his own. Before him lies an open journal, the final volume of William Davis's meticulous records. The pages detail not just the horrors of Project Aurora, but the man's unwavering belief in the country he served despite its flaws. William's last entry, written as his mind began to fail him, speaks volumes. I have seen the darkness men can create in the name of security, in the name of peace. Yet I have also witnessed courage, honor, sacrifice. America is not its mistakes, but its willingness to face them to correct them. This is the battle that never ends. Roger closes the journal, adding it to the organized archive he has assembled. The evidence remains secure not as a weapon, but as a safeguard, a reminder that vigilance is the true price of freedom. On the wall hang three framed photographs: John Davis in his military uniform, William Davis receiving a commendation, and Roger with his unit in Korea. 3 generations of service, of sacrifice, of commitment to ideals larger than themselves. A fourth frame holds a newspaper clipping from last month, the announcement of the congressional inquiry into classified Cold War programs. Not a direct result of Roger's evidence, but part of the slow, inevitable reckoning with the past that William had predicted would come. Roger's phone rings. Mark Anderson calling with his weekly update. Progress on the Nightshade investigation. Our Justice Department contact has identified 3 current officials with Aurora connections. No direct evidence of ongoing experimentation, but troubling budgetary patterns. We keep building the case piece by piece. Same as William did. Any surveillance on the property? None for over a month. Evans remains in rehabilitation, his influence diminished, but not eliminated. The truce holds. For now, stay vigilant. Will do. Oh, and Roger. That veterans group I mentioned, they're hosting a memorial service next weekend for the men who never returned from Korea. Thought you might want to attend. I'll be there. Those men deserve to be remembered. All of them. Roger ends the call as Lucy bounds into the study, her school backpack slung over one shoulder. Bob Thompson follows more slowly, his weathered face creased in a smile. Got straight A's on my report card. Even in math, that's fantastic, Lucy. I knew you could do it. Mr. Bob helped me practice my multiplication tables every morning before the bus came. The old veteran waves off the praise. The kid's a natural. Smart as a whip, just like her dad. Lucy races upstairs to change for their planned picnic, leaving the 2 men alone. Bob surveys the organized archives with a nod of approval. William would be proud, not just of the collection, but of what you're doing with it. Using it wisely, not rashly. I'm trying to find the balance he never could, between exposing the truth and protecting the innocent. Bob's expression turns reflective. That's the real battle, isn't it? Not just for soldiers, but for citizens. Knowing when to fight, when to wait, when to forgive. Outside, spring sunlight bathes the property in golden light. The old oak trees that have stood witness to generations of the Davis family cast dappled shadows across the lawn. In the distance, the American flag Roger installed by the front gate waves gently in the breeze, a symbol not of blind patriotism, but of enduring ideals worth protecting. At dinner that evening, Roger, Lucy, and Bob are joined by Patricia. The tension between the adults has eased into a cautious cooperation, united by their concern for Lucy's well-being. The renovation is remarkable, Roger. You've honored the house's history while making it a true home. That was always the goal, preserving the past without being trapped by it. Lucy chatters about her science project, a study of local watershed conservation that won first prize at the state competition. Her enthusiasm bridges the awkward moments, her resilience a testament to children's ability to adapt to heal. After dinner, as dusk settles over Cedar Hill, Roger and Bob sit on the porch with coffee. The peaceful evening belies the battles fought, the secrets still kept secure within the house's walls. You think it's really over? Aurora Evans, all of it. Nothing's ever really over, Bob. The names change, the methods evolve, but the fundamental questions remain. How far is too far? Who watches the watchers? Still fighting the good fight, then. Roger smiles, watching Lucy playing with her new puppy on the lawn. My father and uncle never stopped fighting for what they believed was right. How could I do any less? The evening star appears in the darkening sky, a silent sentinel over Cedar Hill. Inside this house, 3 generations of Davis men face the same enemy. Not foreign adversaries, but the shadow side of the country they loved enough to question, to challenge, to hold to its highest ideals. Tomorrow, Roger will continue building the case against Nightshade. He will attend the memorial service for the forgotten soldiers of Korea. He will teach Lucy about citizenship that goes beyond flags and pledges to the harder work of vigilance and moral courage. For now, in this moment of hard-won peace, he watches his daughter's laughter, remembering his uncle's final written words. The true legacy we leave is not in papers or property, but in the courage we instill in those who come after us to stand for what is right when standing is hardest. Cedar Hill stands against the twilight, its windows glowing with warm light. Not just a house restored, but a promise kept, a legacy honored, a future secured not through secrecy, but through truth tempered with wisdom. Some battles end. The war for justice, for accountability continues. But tonight in this house that has witnessed both darkness and light, the scales have tipped, however slightly, toward hope.